know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, the juice poured up, and I know it's a vibe. Like rolling with a man, I'm a vibe. Said I need more drink inside of me, like bring more cup. Cause right now it's a vibe. Don't know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe.
Big up Tottenham fans, near and far. It's another preview show. It's Tottenham v Wolves, but it's not really a preview show. It's the blueprint. Sorry, I'm getting my wires mixed up. It's been 4 matches. It's been almost like a month since Zeus, myself, Arthur caught back up and gave our predictions. Zeus, before we kind of get into it tonight, how have you been, my brother? It's been good to see you. It's been good to have. I have to say, I've missed you and Arthur. I'm trying not to do this on too regular, but really, part of my body needs it more often than not. This kind of conversation, because it feels a little bit kind of therapeutic when we do the blueprint. But Zeus, how you been? And then Arthur, how have you been?
Good. I missed you too, man. You're all I could think about, for real. Sleepless nights, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Been good. The weather's been today is actually absolutely horrible. The worst it's ever been, I think, in like a long time. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, in Toronto, it's like heavy snow, like crazy snow. So been good. Maybe a bit, how do I say, in limbo with football. So I guess we'll talk more about that but yeah, been good. Can't complain. Got a new job. So I think I can figure out like my traveling schedule and get into the UK and all that kind of stuff, which is the only reason why I'm getting the job is just so I can do other shit. So
yeah, big up to you, big up. Now, big up and congratulations on the job, and definitely come see me and Arthur. We are here. I'll even pick you up from the airport, my bro, and make sure
a minute, right?
You have a good time. So for real, Arthur, man.
Yeah, man.
I ain't seen you for a minute, my brother.
Yeah, sorry about the other day.
Man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good, man. I'm not bad. I've been quite busy. I was at the Brighton game.
Yep.
And actually, it was really nice. I took my wife because my dad was on holiday with his girlfriend, so we had a spare ticket. So yes. I took my wife, and I've taken her a few times. She's big in because she's Australian.
Okay,
so
okay.
I got her. I introduced her to Ange Postecoglou.
Oh, nice.
What are you watching? Because it was near the beginning times when I was just like consuming all of his press conferences, old like speeches and shit he's done previously, and I was just like, you want to watch this guy? And she did, and she completely fell in love with him. So even to the point where sometimes we were like feeling a little bit anxious of an evening, and we're like, should we just stick an Ange Postecoglou press conference on and listen to the man talk?
Yeah.
She loves him, and it was a fucking great game to go to because last minute winner, nothing like that.
100%. No, big up. And look, I want to big up everyone in the chat, always showing love. TJ Warren, I know we're due to do a show on your channel. Big up to you. Thanks for coming through. AFC is always about here to there, always showing love. JJ, big up to you. So guys, it's been a while. I can't even remember when we did the Blueprint episode 3. I can't remember. But we have done the 4 games and we got 8 points. So what I want to do is remind us of our predictions. Yeah, I think it's important because I'm starting to suspect that maybe Zeus is probably the closest to the points tally in the last, although Arthur was the closest last time round. So look, we're gonna play a clip of our.
Can't even remember what I said.
You don't even remember. Hence why we need to clip it.
I think I said
we have the clip, and I'm gonna drop the clip right now. Big up everyone. Smash the like, subscribe. Let's play the clip. we see the clip? Can we see? Okay, we can't see the clip just yet. Give me a sec. All right, before we do that, Zeus, I'm going to come to you first. We took 8 points in our last 4 games. Given the circumstances and the manner in which we achieved those 8 points, are you satisfied with 8? I mean, are you satisfied with 8 points in our last 4 games?
I think I said this will determine if we're in a title race or not.
Yeah.
And 8 in the last 4. So, I mean, they were good results overall, I think. But no, we're not. Like, the question's been answered. And yeah, that's in line with predictions for the season, right? Like,
you said what question's been answered? Sorry,
for me, we're not in the title race, right? Like clearly not. We're not in.
I take issue with that statement, but go on.
We're not. Man, like, get it? Like, don't even. It would be insane to expect something like that. Like I said, the bar for me was just make sure that the manager is right, the football is good, and yeah, it's been answered. Anything else? Huge bonus. Looks like we're shooing for Europe, and Champions League looking likely, but 8 out of 8 points from a possible 16. 12? 12. Yeah, but the worry is the football hasn't, even though a lot of guys coming back, it hasn't reached the level that we had in the first half when we first started, right? So that's the only worry. Delighted with the goals being scored, even with like Son being away and all that stuff. But possible, and it's that's kind of where I'm in a bit of a limbo. It's like, okay, so now we're not pushing for anything great, if that's the right term, but it's like, okay, it looks like we're going to get into Europe. Cool. Let's just see out this game. So that's my kind of current, where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah, fair. Okay, Arthur, where do you stand on this?
I think the other one way of looking at it is to remind ourselves that it's 8 points, but it's also we're undefeated in the last 4 games. I think the frustration comes from the fact that we were beating Everton into the last minute, so that could have easily been 10 points from 12, which looks a lot better. But on the flip side, what happened to us against Everton is what we did against Brighton. That is it. As Andrews said, that is a product of the way we approach the games. Like, we will play the same way at all times. We won't be protecting a lead. And that's because he wants the mentality to allow us to do what we did against Brighton, to keep playing and ignoring the clock and ignoring the scoreline. So I think that's a positive. I think that's like a step forward in an aspect of what Ange wants his team to be. I think that it's still been disjointed because, like Zeus was saying, it's players still coming back from fitness. We now seem to have certainly our strongest squad since the beginning of the season, but they're all still at various stages of fitness, not just physical fitness, but match fitness, rhythm, mental fitness. We can see that in Bentancur. We know he's a class act, and he's had moments in games where he's been the catalyst towards something really positive, but then he's had moments of real aberration and quite slow, and that's not a physical thing. I think that's a getting into a rhythm of the game and confidence in his body. And so in a way, I think we all kind of thought maybe it's going to be like the beginning of the season again, when we had a first choice 11 and we were smashing teams. But I don't think it's as easy as that, because also we're not a surprise package so much now, right? The teams at the beginning of the season, everyone was talking about us. No one knew what we were going to be doing, and now people are figuring us out a little bit, and now we've got to figure them out. So I think actually to be undefeated in the last 4 games, which involved fairly difficult away fixtures at Everton United, I think that's a positive. I don't think we will win the league, but I do think we're in a title race. I think if the results that you get impact the teams above you, then you're in the race. I don't think we'll win the league, but we are mixing it up with the teams that are aiming for the league, and I think that's something to be positive about.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. I mean, Zeus, I'm going to have to go there and concur with my learned friend Arthur, because for me, if Arsenal was sitting second in the table, 7 points behind Man City, we would all be saying that they're in the title race. And what we find is that just because we're fourth, we got to remember we're 4 points behind City. And I was saying that we're in a title challenge before Arsenal played Liverpool. We were 8 points behind. After the Liverpool game, we were 7 points behind. We closed the gap, guys, albeit by 1 point. We did close the gap. So for me, I do think we're in. I don't think we win it, but I think we push Man City and Liverpool. And I think with our strongest 11, we can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. And also, I want to go as far as to say I think we finish above Arsenal this season. And I know we'll get into that, but I do think we have enough strength in depth. We've got enough strength on the bench to kind of mount that. But for me, I think 8 points is respectable given the circumstances. Yeah, we could have made it 10. But if you're getting between 8, if you're getting 8 points plus, you're in that top 4. You're in that title challenge fight.
Yeah, 2 points a game. You know?
Yeah, 2 points a game, you're in there. If anything below that, then I think you fall out of the mix, in my opinion. And like you said, we didn't lose any games, so yeah, I think it's so far so good, you know, and I think he's doing, Postecoglou is doing a kind of brilliant piece of work with our team. Can I just say, because I just wanted to find out from you, for me, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I've been shaking my bum violently since last week, now knowing that we've got our strongest 11. For me, our strongest 11 goes toe-to-toe with Man City, it goes toe-to-toe with Liverpool, and it bloody slaps Arsenal out the water. If we're able to keep these guys fit, how high can we finish is the question. Now, for me, I think it's a minimum third. I think we finish above Arsenal because I'm waiting for the drop-off. They've not lost any major players this season, Arsenal. Saliba's due to get a knock, or Gabriel, or Martinelli, or Saka, and then it all hell breaks loose for them. So I'm just waiting for that to happen before we overtake them. But Arthur, I'm going to come to you first, then Zeus. How high can we go with our squad? And do you rate our first 11? Or do you rate our squad, to be honest?
Yeah, I think the squad is more important than the first 11 because we have to be able to affect a game from the bench, and everyone said it. That's just not what we've had because of injuries, people, suspensions. You know, self-inflicted with the suspensions, but injuries, people going away to AFCON and the Asian Cup. So I think that's the most important thing. I think I have in mind what I think our strongest 11 is, but I also think it will change. It can change. A couple of positions can change depending on the match. At the moment, I would have Bissouma, Sarr, and Madders in the middle, assuming Bissouma is getting back to form. But there'll be times, obviously, where Bentancur will come in for that, and times where you start Johnson rather than Kulusevski. You know, but I think as a first 11, followed up with a Johnson or a Werner or whoever coming off the bench, I think I'd go along with you. I think we can finish in the top 3. I don't think we will win the league, and I think it's because you need a lot more than what we have to win the league, and that's not just about quality of players. That's just like time and rhythm and building up and understanding. Like this isn't a rush job. Like we can see that stuff is happening in like a real fundamental level at the club with the youth system, with all the data driven buying players and all that kind of stuff, the transfer stuff. So I wouldn't be upset if we won the league, but it's not something I'm aspiring to this season. It doesn't feel like that's what we're going to do. But I think to finish in the top 3 would be really impressive. And I think we can do that. And I think you're right. I think we could finish above Arsenal.
Awesome. Big up. Zeus, I mean, I noticed that you weren't excited when we said top 3 there. You didn't seem to flinch when I said it, and you definitely didn't flinch when it was Arthur. So I know it wasn't my eyes playing tricks on me. What is your opinion based on Arthur? What are you thinking with our players back? Surely you're shaking your bum violently in the snow there out in Toronto.
No. Definitely not in the snow. I mean, like Arthur was saying, you know, the team, the players come back, and everyone's expecting the champagne football from the first bit of the season, and I haven't seen that, right? Like Madison and Bentancur, I think more so Bentancur haven't hit, you know, the highest of levels that they're used to. So I'm a bit worried about that. But in terms of the overall squad, I'm already thinking about next season. What are we going to do next season? How can we improve this team? And I think it's the question marks are on the front three. Well, the I guess wings, quote unquote. The Werner, he's literally he's still on loan, playing for his position, life, whatever you want to call it. Perisic, we've sold, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Solomon. He doesn't. I don't even think when he's fit, he's good enough to be on the bench. I'm not like to be someone like Richarlison. Richarlison now I think is a very good second option off the bench. Son for me starts for sure.
Yes. Who starts ahead of Richarlison?
Son.
Ahead of Richarlison.
Yes. Heung-min Son.
Let's deal with. We're gonna deal with Richarlison later because I actually, part of me shamelessly wants to say I told you so, but let's just.
Maybe you did, but what are you saying? It's like you're saying Richarlison is a better player than Son, which is crazy.
No, but I wouldn't play Richarlison. I'd play Richarlison down the middle and Son down the left. Like, that's why he does what he did against Brighton. That's why he does what he did against when he rinsed.
No. To me, Son as a number 9 is a much better option. So I would stick Son at the top. Richarlison comes off the bench. On the left, I think, you know, having like a specialist type winger that I think Postecoglou really likes. I guess Werner has speed, but I think you can upgrade. So I think you can upgrade on Werner. And on the right, I know Kulusevski gives you a lot, but I don't think he's the ideal that Postecoglou wants, right? Like that's someone that he met while there. So to be fair, if I see him sold and we can upgrade, I know what that looks like, but I would not. I won't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Now Brennan Johnson, his numbers at Forest last season were much better. I thought he would come in and push on, or at least give similar numbers. I forget what the exact numbers are, but I thought he would be in that line. I was expecting maybe 10 to 15 a season, and to really be an impact in games. He scored a few bit, but I don't think he's that top tier. He's not there yet, and you'd maybe have to wait like 2-3 maybe 2 more seasons before we can really demand that he, takes the reins and starts. So there's still a question mark there. So to be fair, if we can upgrade on those two, is it wing? Yeah, the side forwards, wing forwards. That's what I think we need to do to become an elite, to challenge for the title. I think everything else is actually all right. Like the midfield, a lot of options there. The back four, maybe you could upgrade on the bench players like the Royale and Dyer, but I think they're okay. But I think that's the next stage that you have to take to, start challenging for the title. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I kind of wanted to kind of touch on this later, but yeah, look, I agree. I think for me, let's just talk about it. I mean, let's talk about our transfer window just briefly, because I don't think we had a chance to do it when we did the blueprint episode 3. I was shaking my bum for Timo Werner. I'm not going to lie, and I said he could be Mo Salah like, but for me, he just looks like a wimp. He just doesn't want to be touched. He just wants to stay. I mean, I can do what Werner does, and I don't need to train with the Spurs team. I just stand on the edge of the box and hope for them to send me a through ball. And if it comes to me, I'll quickly release it. And or I'll give it to the opposition, and then I stand there huffing and puffing. So no, Werner doesn't seem to be the one. And then for me, I saw in the Brighton game when we lost 4-2, Brennan Johnson got terrorized by Igor at the back, and since then he just lost a little bit of his soul. where he just doesn't want to go in for a tackle. And then it just left us a little bit light. So we were light on the wings. We've been playing matches and getting results with 9 men, to be honest with you. So look, for me, Son and Kulusevski being back in the lineup just gives us a bit more steel and stability. But overall, I think Draguzin is a quality defender. I think he's going to be good. But Werner and Johnson, I don't know. Maybe people are saying we should give him more time. I like the fact that we've been linked with Pedro Neto in the summer. I think that's the sort of player that we need to bring in who take Tottenham over the line. And also, I think we should be bringing in a Mitoma as a replacement to Son. I think we're bringing them 2 brothers. And I think Tottenham's ready to mount a title challenge. And maybe even Ivan Toney, to be honest, to kind of rival Richarlison. I know I'm kind of doing dreamland stuff, but you know, if you want to get it over the line, we kind of need that. But you know, Arthur, you know, are you in agreement? Are you happy with Timo? Are you happy with Brennan Johnson? Are you've seen some of the speculation? Are you in agreement that maybe them 2 are maybe just not quite there yet?
I think them 2 aren't quite there yet, but that's you're never there yet until you're there. Like I think we have to be careful about what we're asking of or expecting of certain players, and at a certain speed. And I also think we need to understand what the team and the management is asking of that player, why they've got them in the team. Timo Werner is definitely not. I'm sure he's not operating at even his maximum at the moment. And I'm sure even when he's at his maximum, there are better players out there, but there almost always will be better players out there. Our job is to make the best of what we've got. And actually, despite the kind of reticence about Werner, he's got 3 assists, 3 goal involvements in 4 games, maybe, or even 3.5 games. We missed Son, but we didn't miss Son. Like we missed Son at the Asian Cup, but we still scored goals. And just because Werner wasn't doing what we would love him to do, doesn't mean he wasn't doing things which led to that. He got 3 assists. Brendan Johnson's clearly not operating at his best, and his best we've seen flashes of, but we want to see more of it. But despite the fact we haven't seen more of it, he's scored 3 goals, and he's over the season, and he's assisted goals. And he's assisted and crossed for Richarlison, who has scored before the weekend with 7 goals in 8. And I know that we know there are better players out there than Richarlison, but there aren't that many players who score 7 goals in 8. And if he continues to do that, it would seem ridiculous to me to go and try and upgrade on that when he's increasing his ceiling. We're waiting to see what his ceiling is. I know there are better players out there than Richarlison, but he's our player.
Total. So how many points do you think we're going to take? Sorry. I'll come back to that. Yeah, go on, Alpha. Sorry.
So I think that we do need to give these players time. We need to give Brennan Johnson time. We need to understand what's been asked of him. I think if people expect him to be receiving the ball in the halfway line and turning people and running down the wing like Gareth Bale, then they're looking at the wrong player. That's not his game. And our job as a team is to make the most of his game and to make the most of Werner's game. The first couple of games we had for Werner, he was making all the runs and the ball wasn't getting out to him because we hadn't played with him yet. They're still working it out. Same with Johnson. So much of it is about the team facilitating other players. Whenever we look at a player or an area and we go, why is they not as good as we want them to be? The chances are it's the team behind them. You know, it's the reason why we gave a penalty away against Brighton was not the defender's problem. It's because we gave the ball away in midfield. So that was a midfielder's fault.
Yeah.
I think that's what Postecoglou is wanting from the team, is to make the most of these players. Whenever he gets asked about them, how's Werner doing? How's Johnson doing? So yeah, I was pleased with them. We didn't use him enough. We didn't get to him enough. And I think that's why he keeps playing him. That's why he likes him. And I think he's brilliant off the bench. I prefer him coming off the bench than starting. I think typically I prefer.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Was this Werner?
Yeah, Brent Johnson. Yeah,
Johnson, I'd have Johnson off the bench because and towards the end of the game when everyone's tired and his pace, that's a real threat. But I'm happy with them. I was happy with our transfer window, and I'm happy with our forwards. I think I don't see any major upgrades to our starting 11. I just see growth in what we already have. And, we've got this young kid, Bergville, coming in. That seems quite exciting. We'll do some business in the midfield in the summer because Højbjerg will go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a hell of a lot more. We'll probably get another defender.
Come on.
And
fair. I like that. I mean, Arthur, this is probably the most optimistic, episode 4 blueprint. But I'm seeing you're there really. You're shaking your bum like you're dancing on ice, which I like. I like this. I like this side of Arthur here where he's very bullish.
Sorry, Arthur, do you mind just repeating? You said you would maybe Højbjerg would leave, so another midfielder comes in. Who else did you? What else?
I said I think we'll probably get another defender. I think. Because I don't think that Ashley Phillips or Alfie Dorrington in the youth system are out on loan or whatever. I don't think they'll be stepping up. So I think we'll get another defender and we'll probably replace Højbjerg. But I don't see any kind of need to be thinking about replacing these new players. We don't need to replace Brennan Johnson or upgrade on him. We need to invest in him and make him a better player and use him more. Because
him I would say. But if someone says if their bid comes in for Kulusevski for,
he's one of the most unique players in the league. You look at that player and you go, how are you playing football? How are you beating your man? You don't look fast, but you always beat your man. He's so strong and he does things that I don't think any other player does. And he runs like crazy and he works so hard.
Yeah.
I just think that we've seen patches of him being brilliant and patches of him just being a little bit low on confidence. And that's where he's at the moment. But I think I would not want to sell Kulusevski. I think it's hard to remind ourselves because he looks like a beast, but he's like 22 or something. He's still a kid.
He's 22.
And because he looks like a massive man, because he is, I think we think, we should be getting more of him. He's 22. So much of his team is like that.
Yeah.
Johnson's 22. Udogie, who obviously is exceptional, he's like 21. I mean, it is mad. We have to remind ourselves not to over-expect from these players that will only grow. And if we start replacing them before they've had an opportunity to grow, it just sends the message to all the other players that they're on borrowed time. And that's just, not what's success.
I think you're fair. I think that's fair, Arthur. I think you make a fair assessment and you're right. And maybe we need to be a bit more patient, but as it is with football, as you see things, your expectations change. And, what Zeus does really well, and he does better than me in particular, is that he's staying true to his thoughts, which were at the beginning of the season. Anything's better than the dusty Conte football. Whereas me, I've moved the goalpost at least 8 times. For me, at the moment, I'm going for the league. I'm not saying that we're winning it, but I am going for the league because I think we're that good. I think we're good enough to go for the league. I think we can finish above Arsenal, and there's no Arsenal fan that can tell me. And I think our strongest 11 will beat City and beat Liverpool. We've beaten Liverpool already this season. Mm-hmm. So for me, I just don't like to go down the usual narrative. We've got to all sit back and show respect to Man City and Liverpool and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do that. Anything can happen. And what the one thing is Postecoglou always says this as well. Why are you limiting Spurs? We don't know where we're going to be. I'm not putting a limit in it. I'm not setting any parameters. It is what it is come the end of the season. And if we happen to win, we happen to win.
Yeah. And if we're like 3 or 4 points in touching distance of these teams, like we get to play them again. So if we're in touching distance with winning the games and getting the points from the games that were expected, then we will be the underdogs in playing Arsenal, playing Man City again, playing Liverpool again. We'll have the opportunity, and we know that we can beat those teams. If we play them now 10 times, maybe they'll beat us more than we'll beat them. But maybe the time this season will be when we actually beat them. And then
100%. Arthur, I'm loving this. So look, we're gonna go now. This episode, we're looking at the next 5 games just because it's all kind of tight and stuff. But I want us to see our last predictions just to remind you of how close we were. So we're gonna play it now, and then we're gonna quickly discuss it, and then we're gonna look forward to our next 5 games. So let me pull it up. I had it up just a moment ago.
I'm going 10. I think we'll beat United. I think we'll beat Brentford. I think we'll draw at Everton, and we'll beat Brighton at home.
I'm gonna go with 9. I'm going to go with 9. with one loss and now it's safe from everyone.
Arthur's got 10. Zeus has got 9. Jeez. Okay. So I'm gonna go with 10. I'm going 10. Arthur, did you say where we were gonna drop points with your 10?
I thought we'd get a draw at Everton.
Because Lionheart is giving me 12 points. Jonas is giving me 12. I'm shaking my bum violently. Let's be united. I'm gonna go 12. It froze. I remember that. Let us come off. Brilliant. So Arthur, you went with
9.
10. 9.
No,
Zeus
10.
You went with 10. Zeus went with 9. I went with 10. And then at the end, I said if we beat Man United, we could get all 12. So funny enough, we've been fairly accurate on this. Every single blueprint, one of us seems to be landing in and around. So Zeus, you probably get the 3 points this time round because you were the closest. So you've done this twice because you called the 4 points where I called 3 points. And then Arthur had 7. So look, let's look ahead now. I want to look ahead to the Wolves game briefly, but I think how should we do it? Should we do the Wolves? Let's do the Wolves game first. And I just want to let you know the team news, and then we'll do the next 5 games, and then we'll wrap up quickly. So it looks like we could have Pedro Porro and Udogie at the game. That's the
really
good news. Yeah.
What happened? I didn't hear this.
Both Porro. I mean, the thing is, sometimes I don't know if you guys feel this as well. I don't know. It could be social media. It could be streaming as well. But everything just seems to be heightened, and every flimsy thing these guys do. Pedro Porro just stepped out and he scratched his bum. Oh, no! He scratched his bum. What are we going to do? It's almost like that. So basically, Udogie, Tottenham had an open training session at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. And I kid you not, we took up one section of the stadium for bloody training session. As for me, I wouldn't be watching the Spurs train. I just don't see the point in it personally. But Udogie wasn't there today, and neither was Pedro Porro. For me, I had us down to slap up Wolves if we had our starting 11, especially because I've just found out that Cunha has suffered an injury in the last game. So Cunha's really been the one ticking. And Cunha and Neto are a problem, but Neto can't do it by himself, especially if Neto plays on the right. He'll be up against Udogie, and we know that Udogie had Salah in his pocket and he had Saka in his pocket, so he'll definitely have Neto in his pocket. But do we really look? Ben Davies and Emerson Royale deserve the utmost respect because they stepped in and they've been squad players and they've done the brilliant jobs at centre back. But I can't lie, my heart dropped because Emerson Royale and Ben Davies cannot do that inverted role the way that these guys do it. So I'm panicking because Neto against Ben Davies is basically a disaster movie. It's Bruce Willis in Die Hard. So I don't know, Zeus. What do you think? Wolves and that we're potentially missing Porro and Udogie.
I'm actually I'm not fearful. Well, definitely not as fearful as you. But I've been very impressed, with those guys and their role in the squad, like being squad players and, not really missing a beat. And I think they will rise up to the occasion if they have to start tomorrow. I actually think that Porro and Udogie, after the mistakes he made in the Brentford game, I think they were due a start essentially. And maybe he mentioned to them earlier and they're ready for that kind of thing. So I'm not too worried. And I don't know if is it Wolves that are suffered? Maybe it's Villa, who suffered like a ton of injuries.
Villa.
Okay. Well, I'm for some reason I'm not too worried about Wolves. Like, the Madison is back, and the game we lost, the reverse fixture, I think we lost to them, right?
Yeah.
And I think he was out for that. That
was the match after the Chelsea match.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So I'm not, and I think they scored 2 late goals. So I think the offensive firepower would be enough to handle any defensive lapses. Madison, Bentancur, Yeah, I mean, we would miss, of course, the inverted strikers, defenders, but I think we'll firepower. I'm expecting 3 points for this for sure.
Arthur?
Yeah. I think I think Wolves are good actually, and I think what's his name is Gary O'Neill has done a really, really good job, and I think they'll be difficult, but I think we'll be fine. I mean, we have to if we're thinking we're going to be challenging or we're going to be in the mix, then we have to think that we're going to beat Wolves at home. That's it. We have to. I don't. Obviously, I'd rather Udogie and Porro were playing, but it wouldn't just be Neto against Ben Davies. It'd also be Mickey van der Ven there. So I think pace-wise, we went for a period without having with having a makeshift left back and without having Mickey van der Ven there as well. So we've had it when we've had Emerson Royal playing as left back and Ben Davies playing as left centre back.
Yeah.
So we've been and it's not what we want long term, but we survived. So I wouldn't at home. I wouldn't be concerned. I would rather have Porro than Emerson, but I like Emerson. I think he can do a decent job. And there might be some things he doesn't do as well as Porro, but there will be other things that he brings to the game. So, I think we should be all right.
Fair, Arthur. Thank you. So can I just confirm, guys? Arthur, you kind of mentioned it. Are you wanting to see Bissouma, Maddison, and Pape Sarr start this game really this weekend, or does Bentancur start again? And I'm not saying it because of Bentancur's last two performances; he just hasn't been up to scratch. I just think that is the midfield three that really was unbeaten for 10 matches. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if they're all available, let them play. But I think you were in agreement. You mentioned saying that. I think you alluded to that's your strongest three.
Yeah, but I think right now, that, and I actually thought we saw a little bit of it against Brighton when Bissouma came on. I thought he looked really tidy, really confident, and quite up for it. Like, we've missed him. He was suspended for a chunk of time. He's been chomping at the bit to be playing again. So I think in the long run, Bentancur at peak Bentancur would be very hard not to start in the 8 position. It will be really hard. I mean, I love Sarr, but that to me is where peak Bentancur would be competing. And I think just below peak Bentancur can do a decent job at 6 because it's not as physically demanding. But I think peak Bissouma is better at 6. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I think Bentancur can be really impactful coming off the bench. And I think you're right. I think we should look at getting that connection back that we had at the beginning of the season, because that is also what helped us keep some clean sheets as well. Because Bissouma really helped us keep clean sheets because he was good receiving the ball in tight positions and creating space. So the fact that we haven't had that partnership has also been why we've conceded so many goals.
Yeah.
So I'd give that a go for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Zeus, are you in agreement? Is that your strongest lineup for Spurs moving forward?
No. I mean, I think Bissouma, he should be the starting 6. I think Bentancur, Sarr are at the same level, or at least till Bentancur can get back to what he was doing, on the Conte and really bossing games and stuff. So I think tomorrow I'm okay with him starting. And maybe after at half, Sarr comes in if need be, because I just, when guys go away to AFCON and just needing a rest, I think it's always good to maybe not rush them into the starting lineup to play for Spurs right away. So that's one way I'm looking at it. But I would be okay. I know Bentancur has underperformed, but I would be okay tomorrow with Maddison, Bentancur, and Bissouma. I'm actually a bit worried. Actually, I should say I'm actually a bit worried about Maddison. Like, I haven't seen him. I know he's still getting back, but I don't know if he'll be playing the full 90 minutes and starting. Maybe he can come off the bench too.
Yeah, I think it's start, but I think he probably wasn't meant to play the full 90 against Brighton, but it's because Udogie went off with cramps, so they had to bring Davies on. I think they were going to take Maddison off. I still don't think he's got 90 minutes in his legs really.
Question: where? Sorry to jump in, but where's Lo Celso? Like, what's the deal with him? Like,
He's back now, though.
He's just got back from injury.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so potentially, even though, like, I mean, yeah, he's like sometimes fantastic and sometimes just.
But again, an option off the bench, you know.
Yeah, another option. That's another idea.
Something.
Right, that's another idea, but definitely Bissouma, I think I would like to see. I mean, there's just so many options in midfield. Like, we have no issues.
The thing I think that's really interesting is that I think that we probably, at times this season, the player that we've missed the most when out has been Sarr.
Yeah,
and I think it must be because he does something that no other player in the team does. Whether that's the energy, the running through the lines,
up and down.
That goal he scored against Brighton was like peak Sarr. That it was like no one else in the team would have scored a goal like that. Like just going and his gangly legs getting everything, and like he just is very, very difficult to manage. And as soon as we had him back, when we missed him before because he was injured, I think he came back against Newcastle and we smashed them. And it was just that was where what we were missing, the energy. And at the moment, I just don't think Bentancur is anywhere near providing that sort of manic energy.
I agree. And actually, I've gone as far as to say, Arthur, that I rate Sarr better than Basmati Rice.
Yeah, I think I've
but you know, people keep shaking their bum for Rice, but when you look at Rice's performances and Sarr, there's not much difference there.
Like I think Rice is like fully trying to play a number 6. And I think it's hard to compare Sarr with anyone, to be honest. And this isn't a great comparison, but there's bits of his game that reminds me of Dele Alli. And it's to do with the fact that like he's so positive, everything is moving forward. He's moving forward with the ball, off the ball. He's breaking the lines constantly, and he just doesn't stop. And what was working so well at the beginning of the season was him on the right, helping Kulusevski and Maddison, on the left. And I want to see more of that. Yeah. And I think there was time for Bentancur to come back. But I think Sarr just looks like he's loving his footballing life. So I give him.
Quick question: what do you guys think of Ange's like subs and his like penchant to use all 5?
It's killing us, I think. But I think he's killing us. I think when he brings up, I think he brought on Brian Gil and Skip in the Wolves game when we were winning. We ended up losing the game. He brought on Brian Gil again and somebody else in the Everton game. We ended up losing. I think he did the same thing in the Villa game. I mean,
we didn't lose the Everton game.
We drew. But basically, when he does these crazy changes, we end up dropping points. I think is the point that Zeus is trying to make. Is that the point you're trying to make, Zeus?
I'm just saying it's a lot, man. Like it's a lot to. I mean, I think usually see 2 at a time. Maybe if you really need to change things, 3. But he just goes for.
He never does. He doesn't do 5 at a time. I don't think you're allowed to do 5 at a time.
No, not 5 at a time. But just the entire 5 are always used.
Yeah, I think
that's too much. That's too much.
I think it's brilliant.
Brilliant, really?
Yeah, I do.
Think it's too unsettling.
I think it's costing us, though, Arthur. You don't think it's costing us?
But I think look at what happened when we changed the game right at the end when we were playing Man City and we got that draw, the 3-3 draw. Like it's the same. It's sort of the same argument when people talk about conceding late goals and scoring late goals. Actually, if you look at the points over the season, we've got a net benefit of 3 points from late goals. Yeah. We've gained X number of points from scoring late goals, and we've conceded X number of points from conceding late goals. You put them together, we're 3 points better off overall with late goals. So yeah, it's conceding them we don't want, but we have been scoring them. And we've also been affecting games to our benefit by making substitutions late. Now, the substitutions against Brighton, everyone watched it and it felt a little bit like, we lost our way once we brought the substitutes on. But then Son was a substitute who crossed for Johnson, who was a substitute, and we got the winner.
Yeah.
We can't like pretend like that wasn't a result of his substitutions.
But can I ask you a question? Obviously, Son's on the bench because he was away, and Bissouma was on the bench, assuming because they were away and just come back. Do you think we get the result if we bring on Werner in that same situation, because I think that's the thing for me. Yes, the substitutions worked this time round, but we can't be having Son come on. Do you know what I mean? This guy
we could, but it was also Johnson who came on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, but and we could could be that Son goes off on a game and Werner comes on and does something and to make a goal. Like, he's a footballer who has created goals before. He's created 3 goals for us. There's no reason why he couldn't do that coming on, replacing Son. It doesn't mean he's a better player than Son. You know, it's just it's from each game to the next. You know, if you're in a game and you're really getting a lot of benefit from hammering the right back from the left-hand side, and Son is going and going and going and going, and he's doing great stuff but not getting the final ball, and he's tired, bring on another speedster, and fresh legs might do it. It doesn't make him a better player. It doesn't mean he should have started. That's what good substitutions do. I'm sure some of his substitutions have led to shifts in the team, which has led to chances conceded. But clearly some of them have also led to chances being created. And I would much rather a manager that uses a squad and has a bench of players who know there's a real high chance that they're playing today at some point, so they're switched on, rather than what we've had before, which is a manager who's so nervous that anything beyond their starting 11 is shit. So they just won't throw players on even when everyone's going, fucking look, he's knackered. The manager, you know, I'd much rather a manager has the balls just to go, yep, Skip, you're going on. When he brought Skip on against Man City, he was the player. He played the first ball that broke the lines, that's got the equaliser. Yeah, that's Skip. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I like that. I would on balance of play, I would take those positives over the frustrations that come from it every now and again.
I like your eyeballs and your attention to detail, Arthur. I love it. Big up to Hair to there, making some interesting points. He said it'll be interesting to see Son starting with the new inform Richarlison. I know Zeus is currently off, but I will tell Zeus again, I told you so. Big up to all the people in the chats who spent lovely time with their other halves yesterday, I think, on Valentine's. Big up to all of you. I've been seeing all the comments, showing all the love in there. So big up Anthony Herbert, AFC, always the assembled. Big up to all of you. Look, we're going to go to my favorite bit of the show, which is we're doing the next 5 games, because I think all the games are kind of tied. So let's have a look at the next 5 games. Let me just get them up on the screen for us to see. But we know it starts with Wolves. Arthur, I am coming to you. Sorry, I feel like I've been picking on you today, but you've been having to go first. Or I'm happy to go first for once. No, let me go first, because I'm always pushing you guys to go first. So let me just get on the screen now the next 5 games, which is on our thumbnail. We have Wolves. We've got Crystal Palace. Yeah, so we've got Wolves. We've got Palace. We've got Aston Villa.
No, we've got.
Is it Wolves?
No, we've got Chelsea away.
No. So that Chelsea game now has been moved because it lands on
because of the thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's why we can't count that Chelsea.
So Wolves, Palace, Villa, and Fulham.
Villa, Fulham. And then the last one
is Luton.
So, but let's just do the 4. We'll do Luton in the next blueprint. Wolves, Palace, Villa, Fulham. Look, for me, I'm going to go with 12 points. Arthur's laughing. Let me explain why.
Not laughing, smiling.
Wolves are without Cunha, and Cunha, for me, has arguably been their best player this season. And also, it's going to be the first game that Tottenham have had all of their 11 training this week. We don't know about Porro and Udogie, but I have a sneaky suspicion Porro and Udogie will play. And if they do play, we're just going to have too much firepower for Wolves and they're going to get slapped up. My prediction for the Tottenham Wolves game is Spurs to win 3-0. It's not financial advice, anyone, but if anyone is down, the bookies, if you put a cheeky tenner on that, that is probably going to return you about 300 or 400 quid. And all I need is a little thank you for that, to be honest with you. Crystal Palace, people are talking about the new manager bounce. Roy Hodgson has been relieved of his duties. They're going to have a new manager, but that team is royally dusty. He's going to need more than a week to get that team cooking. And so I think Crystal Palace gets slapped up by Spurs. Aston Villa have lost 3 of their major centre-backs. And speaking to Villa fans, Arthur, we know Ben very, very well. He will say without Konsa's been their mainstay, he's been playing the right back role, and without Konsa, he didn't think they would win against Manchester United. I thought they played well against United, but they still ended up losing. And I think more of the same. They don't have that still. And then we are away, I believe. Are we away to Fulham?
Away to Fulham, yeah. We've got 2 home, 2 away.
That's a dodgy game. But to be honest with you, I'm not shaking my bum for Iwobi or Calvin Bassey. I think they're all right, man. But I think, again, if we have our first 11, it's going to be a long day. I can't see Willian turning Porro inside out. I mean, the last game Fulham played, they made bloody Willian look like bloody Lionel Messi, mate, to be honest with you. But at 33, 34, I expect Pedro Porro to step on his toes and write him out the game. And then the geezer on the right, the Jamaican fella up against your doggy, is going to be a very, very difficult day. So for me, I say Spurs get 12 points and we maintain our title challenge. And we need to win the next 4 games because it's the April run, which is the most crazy run, where we've literally got Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City in that kind of run. But we need to get the momentum from now to make those games bearable. So I'm going with 12 points. Arthur.
So we're doing 4. We're parking Luton, yeah?
Yeah, I'll park Luton.
I will go a little bit more conservative. I'll go 10. And I would go a home win against Wolves and Palace, a draw at Villa, and we'll beat Fulham. That's what I would go. And I think my thinking there is just I think Villa will be difficult at their place. They've got a good record at home. Even we know we were difficult to come up against when we had injuries because we had that siege mentality. You probably go in as underdogs. People just people don't expect much, but so I think sometimes that's harder to face. Really motivated they will be, especially if they're still around, the top 4 as well. So I think that's where we'll drop points. I think we've got to beat Wolves on Saturday, and we've got to beat Palace at home. And we've got to be beating Fulham at home. They're a bottom half of the table team. So yeah, I'll go 10 points, and I think I'll be happy with that. If we got 12 points, I'll be over the moon.
If we get, just before I bring Zeus in, if we get 10 points in this run, are we still in the title challenge?
I mean, it's too big a hypothetical because it depends what everyone else gets, right? But yes, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I'd love to get up, and maybe we can do this. Maybe next blueprint when we get closer towards the end of the season, we can get up the matches of the fixtures of the teams around us, because I'd actually love to see what their fixtures are. But if any of them are playing each other, which they probably will be, already we've got an opportunity to make up ground. And I think other teams will drop points. If we are going to win the league, I think what's more likely, we win all of the rest of our games and we win the league, or we lose some of the rest of our games and other teams lose some of the rest of their games too. I think that's more likely. I don't think this season, even Man City turning it on now, I don't think we're going to see a team go from now to the end of the season unbeaten. I agree. And it's just about who gets beat by whom,
I agree with you totally. And I've been trying to say that on other streams, but I think the way you've articulated, Arthur, is absolutely spot on. Look, before I bring Zeus in, sorry, Zeus, because I know you got to run now. So actually, because you got to run, let me ask you, what are you saying for our next 4 games? Leave the Luton one, but the next 4.
I'm going with you. I'm going to say 12 points, man.
Yay! Everyone, this is a Spurs world record.
No
points dropped from
Did you just Zeus, when you just disappeared, did you just go to the bathroom and look in the mirror and say, "Come on, man, come on, man"?
Be positive. Go for it. Go for the gusto. No. I think I don't know. I just feel we can get on a roll here with everyone kind of coming back from injury and everything. Like this is a time where things just start clicking. Even though potentially Udogie and Poro could be missing, but I just feel like this is it. Everything's gonna just start clicking on the pitch, offensively especially. The trickiest tie, I think it's Palace. You know, I know it's a London derby. Fulham, I don't rate at all. Villa, I just think they have two. You know, the injuries I think are going to start to creep up. They're still in Europe as well. Yeah. Wolves, I don't know. Like I said, the offensive fluidity I'm expecting to be back, and we're just gonna like smash teams 3-4 from here on out. All these lesser teams, anyways. Even for the rest of the season, I think we're gonna be very good. It's just that tricky run of games with the, you know, Liverpool, City, Newcastle, like that. That's pretty much the only worry period. The rest of it should be smooth sailing.
So if we get 12 points, Zeus, are you going to change your stance on the next blueprint, episode 5? Will you be saying now Tottenham's in with a title challenge? And why not? Because if we get maximum points, we're literally right in the hunt.
Nope. not budging from that, man. Like,
okay, so what if we get 12 points, where are you expecting Spurs to finish then? I need to pin you down to something.
Top 4, maybe top 4, third.
So you're agreeing with us that we could finish above Arsenal?
Yeah, but that's not a trophy. That's not an accomplishment.
No, it's not. But
Arsenal are dead food.
I love it. Okay, look, just before we wrap up, I've done 2 wild statements this week. Arthur's shaking his head like bloody hell, Dej. I don't know if they're wild. It's just something I genuinely believe. The first is I think we can beat Man City, Arsenal, and Villa. I'm not saying that not Villa, Arsenal. I think we can beat Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal in towards the end of the season. So I want to quickly get your opinions. And then there's a guy called Lawless who is a West Ham fan. I bet him 50 quid that West Ham wouldn't get a single win in their next 6 games. So just getting your thoughts on that. Their next 6 games being Nottingham Forest and a few other cronies. But can Spurs, Arthur, can you see where my chest is coming from in terms of Liverpool, Arsenal, City, in Tottenham just slapping all them 3 teams up? I'm not saying we're going to do anything with it, but I think with our first 11, we could slap them up.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think we can. I think on our day, the right circumstances, we can. We've got Man City at home, and I think we can do them at home. We usually do them at home. We've got Arsenal at home. I'm looking forward to that. I think Liverpool away is the hardest of the 3, actually.
But we're due a win there, though. Come on, we're due.
Yeah, we are, and I'm not saying we won't, but I just think, you know, and again, that doesn't mean that Liverpool are going to finish higher than Man City. I just think, you know, there are teams that we routinely find it harder to play against, and teams that we have some kind of, you know, the same. There are teams that we play that we're much better than, but we always struggle against. You know, West Ham seem to always give us a bit of a difficult game. So yeah, I absolutely see where you're coming from, and I can see it. I think it's all about how quickly our forward players click back into whatever it was that they were doing early on in the season. And then if they do that, plus we've now added the ability to bring people off the bench like Johnson and Werner and Lo Celso, now he's fit, and Bentancur's back again. Like, we should be over these next few games, we should be settling into something really solid. And I think having Wolves at home and Palace at home is a real good opportunity to really embed some confidence. And then those matches against the other quote unquote bigger teams, they're the ones that we're going to enjoy playing. You know, That's why we have players. That's why I love having a player like Maddison. Like those are the games he wants to be playing. None of those players are like scared about that run. They're like, that's the defining run. We get good results in those games. They're worth double. Do you know what I mean? If you beat a team around you, it's like a 6-pointer. So it's a great opportunity to go and do something.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm loving the chest Arthur. You know, on the face of it, people will be like, "Well, what a dodgy run!" But you said it could work out to be almost like a blessing in disguise, where those teams also are, you know, in the later stages of the European competitions as well.
And
So
the stakes are high,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's a high rolling game. Like if we get beat, it's doubly damaging. If we win, it's doubly helpful. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what you want to be doing. You want to be in a position where you can impact your destiny, where you have control over your destination, and you can only do that if you're playing those games. And if we get to do that week after week for 3 or 4 weeks, and we come out with a couple of wins and a couple of draws, like we've done well. And I think that would suggest that we're there or thereabouts.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're gonna have a good game this weekend. Yeah, man. I think overall, whatever happens from here on in, Arthur, I think it's fair to say Postecoglou is the right man for the job. At least so it seems. I think he's overachieved. I mean, we are talking about Tottenham finishing third. I mean, Arthur, I'm not being funny, but me and you would have been in the car park down in Brighton, and you would have slapped my face if I told you Spurs were finishing third at the beginning of the season. And yet here we are, talking with some chest that our team could be top 3, if not even higher. You know, who knows? Spurs might even finish above Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not so convinced by that Liverpool team, especially with Núñez up top. I know who I would rather have between Richarlison and Núñez. There's no guesses and there's no money for anyone thinking, guessing on which one I would rather have up top. So there you have it. We've given you episode 4 of The Blueprint. Thank you, the assembled Malia, everyone, for tuning in. And Arthur, please, I will send you the link to my my crazy bet with the West Ham fan. Yeah. When I reckon that West Ham ain't going to win a single game in their next 6 games. But they're welcome to have as many draws as they like, but they are as dusty as Tutankhamun's coffin. On that note, Arthur, thanks for joining. Zeus, big up to you. He's had to go. Everyone else, have a good night. Have a great weekend. And we will see you after the Fulham game for Blueprint episode 5.
Yes.
Good night. Come on, you Spurs. Come on. Topanga.
Dano, yeah. Dano, yeah. Dano, yeah. Dano, it's a vibe. Dano, it's a